Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Diet Time is here. That's right. We're talking about 1980s The Apple for episode 400 of Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from either Berlin or Moose Jaw, Canada. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And of course, that means we're going to unpack all the goriest of details of 1980s musical spectacular flop, The Apple, in the hopes that a young folk singer's untimely end and ascension into heaven is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust to wear a BIM mark wherever the hell I want. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
The pandy to your dandy.
The BB to my Alfie.
The Mr. Boogaloo to your Mr. Tops.
Okay. First things first. Are there going to be members of the audience who've never heard of The Apple? Entirely possible. The Apple, while it has a cult, that cult is nowhere near something like Troll 2 or The Room. That being said, around 2004, a group of Becky's Emerson College friends gathered at a home in Lake Malibu, and we were all sitting around and drinking and eating and talking, and a debate began to rage of what the best worst movie of all time was. And while many people at that point were pushing for The Room, which was only viewable in repertory screenings in Hollywood at the time, and its cult status was growing. And then there were people who were like Troll 2, and there were people who were like, oh no, the Oscar, Valley of the Dolls. And I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all. There's only one answer. It's as firm then as it is now. And it is The Apple is the best. When was the first time you watched The Apple, Gina?
Oh my God. I think the first time I watched it in full was maybe 10 or 15 years ago. I had heard of it, and it seemed like something that somebody was making up.
Yes. I do think that's a very accurate description of how The Apple feels. And
it was not a case, like, unlike other legendarily, bad musicals. Now, I'll say Xanadu. I love Xanadu, but I know, and my love for it is unironic. But I know it is generally considered a not good musical. Mm-hmm. Whereas that was a cable staple for a while. And like John Huston's Annie and all. Like The Apple just came and went. And you never saw it on cable. It never really found much of a second life, on like midnight movies until fairly recently. And then I think it just sort of unceremoniously, dropped onto some streaming service maybe a decade or so ago. And I finally got a chance to watch it in full. And I'm like, where you been all my life, baby?
Yes, I think that is true of the cult of the Apple. Once you take a bite, you're really into it, because it's so wholeheartedly committed to its insane bit. You just can't believe it exists.
It's earnest.
That's earnest.
That's the thing that I find so lovable about it. Yeah, is that it is 100% earnest.
And I think there's going into this, right? And you have an article that I think we should link in the show notes. That's very eye-opening about some of the things going on here. But when you reach into like the backstory of how this came to be, one of the things that really comes alive is like the writer director here, Menem Golan, was he so desperately wanted to just make a huge splash upon his American debut. And it was a time when going for it would kind of pay off. Like you mentioned it in the article, but it's important to note the sort of backstory here in that roadshow musicals, which would go from town to town and have, 2 to 3 week premiere sort of dress up and go see them presentations, were dying on the vine. Hello, Dolly, Paint Your Wagon, Dr. Dolittle. Dr. Dolittle quite literally bankrupted 20th Century Fox.
Yeah,
again.
I just finished a book called Box Office Poison that goes into, it actually has a whole chapter on Dr. Dolittle.
And if it were not for the Planet of the Apes movies, like 20th Century Fox just would have gone away. It's one of those things that just literally tore that entire studio apart. At the same time, though, there is this underground movement of these more rock and roll musicals happening that are semi-successful to successful. Certainly, Hair is part of that. While Rocky Horror, which comes out in 1976, doesn't do well in its regular theatrical release, once it goes into midnight movie status, it's just a money machine. The rentals on that never end because there are theaters who show it on a Friday or Saturday night. I think this became the first big Friday midnight movie, because Saturday midnight movies were reserved for Eraserhead and Challenging Artistic Fare. And this was the fun version of a midnight movie. And that cult just grows. And then in 1978, you hit Grease. And Grease is really what we have to focus in on. Because if not for Grease, I don't think you would have had, you wouldn't have had Fame. You would not have Can't Stop the Music. You wouldn't have had Xanadu. And you certainly would not have had The Apple. Because that is the number one with a bullet movie of 1978. A out and out off-Broadway musical was the number one film. And at number 7, while not a musical, the music surrounding it is so important. Saturday Night Fever. That's a real 1-2 punch, and not just for Travolta. I think it enables a lot of people to go, hey, there's a desire within the younger group of people to see music on screen represented in a different, more challenging and interesting way that they find compelling. And then sometimes it's The Wall, and sometimes it's The Apple.
When I did my research for this article, I wrote an article for its 40th anniversary, so that would have been about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I am reading about the creation of the Apple, and like there were a couple parts of it that I read, and I had to like look again to make sure I had read correctly.
Yeah,
like that this had started out as an adaptation of 1984.
Yes. I think this in particular has one of those ideas that everyone seems to tap into at some point, which is it's a world where rock and roll is illegal. Only here it's corporate / government controlled rock and roll is the only legal form of music, and everything
not
else
even
is
rock
outlawed.
And roll. It's like some sort of like weird like disco,
hyper disco.
Yes. Yeah, and the it's sort of like basically when I think of the Apple, I think of that scene from Airplane where it's like at the radio station it has like where disco lives forever, and then like the plane hits the antenna, the station immediately goes off the air.
Yes.
It's like by the time this movie came out, it was the end of 1980. And so by this point you had already had disco was pretty much kind of on its way out. It was starting to be remarketed as like dance music. And you also had that, disgusting display at Comiskey Park where people were encouraged to bring disco records so they could be blown up, because it was all very, barely concealed homophobia and racism.
Yes.
But, either way, it was considered, it had peaked and it was starting to be on the wane. But, this was, the Apple's entire, thrust was based on, disco's never going to die.
Yes.
In 1994, it's going to, when this ostensibly takes place, and when you see like what they think 1994 is going to look like, is possibly the best part of this movie and why I love it so much.
Yeah.
That like disco's not only still going to be alive, it's going to be it's legally enforced that everybody listens to disco, has like a daily disco calisthenics routine.
Right. But the answer to disco within the framework of the movie is treacly AM soft rock. And you're like, also a form of music people were done listening to. Soft rock had transformed into West Coast. West Coast transforms into yacht rock, which, while not formally discussed at the time, is definitely based in a bunch of people going, I love the luxurious recording process of this, but I think it should be more challenging. And people bringing in jazz and soul, blue-eyed soul music into it, and still trying desperately to make pop music. And so like a lot of musical movements are happening at the time, and punk. This movie just ignores the idea of punk music happening altogether. Like the Ramones don't exist, the Sex Pistols don't exist, or post-punk, or the British Invasion. All this stuff kind of goes away into this bouillabaisse of this Israeli rock musical put together by a guy named Kobe Reich and his wife Iris Yavat. And this is sort of based on their time when they were signed to a French music label. So yes, there is a subtle anti-foreigner thing going on here, which you'd never pick up from the movie at all. Okay. My first experience with the Apple was when I was attending Glendale Community College straight out of high school. And when I say attending, I paid for classes and I attended some of them. But pretty much all I did was like participate in the theater program. One of the guys in the theater program was named Dennis. Dennis was slightly and occasionally unhoused, would live underneath the theater, but people didn't know that. Also worked in a video store. I worked in a video store. So for me, working in a video store was just getting access to very well-known movies I'd never been allowed to watch. Whereas for Dennis, working in a video store was access to the weirdest movies he could find. He was the person who introduced me to a couple things. He was the first person to show me Manhunter. He was the first person to show me The Black Marble, which is based on a Joseph Wambaugh novel. This is supremely odd. One of the best 70s oddball PI movies. So it's hard to find, but if you do find it, watch it. It's very good. And he showed me The Apple. And he's like, just watch it. I'm not going to tell you what this is. Just consume it. And it was that viewing experience, right, in 1990 that I think blew a part of my brain, just tweaked me a little bit into, there's deliciously bad art in this world. There's just truly why something is successful is in how unsuccessful it is in reaching its aims. And so when Menahem Golan, soon to be of Golan Globus fame, hears, this track and sort of feels the vibe of the times and wants something that he can really break loose with in the States, because he was making movies in Israel at the time. And he's like, this is my ticket. And he writes like 6 different versions of this movie in quick succession. And meanwhile, he's changing the story from this dystopian world without music, 1984, into, oh, no. This is about Adam and Eve. And you'd never get that, Gina. It's very subtle in the movie.
This whole movie is a masterwork in subtlety.
Yes. But he really just warps it into something else. But that's not the only hurdle here, because all of the music is kind of locked, but the lyrics aren't, but they're not in English. And for a long time, my joke was that no one had really bothered to write lyrics up until 48 hours before the movie was start to be lensed. And then all they needed to do that was a locked room and an 8-ball of Coke, because that's the way it feels.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say that's a joke. I believe it.
What I did not know until I did research for it, leading up to this, was that musician George S. Clinton, not George Clinton, George S. Clinton, helped with the lyrics. He's primarily known as a musician of note, and that eventually translated into him doing soundtracks, amongst them Cheech and Chong's Still Smoking, the first Austin Powers, Mortal Kombat films. He had a long and storied career of really great music. I can't say The Apple is up there.
No. If he has ever given some sort of lifetime achievement Oscar, I am pretty sure The Apple is going to be left out of that reel.
Yes. Now, if George S. Clinton, I think he seemed to favor Golan's comedic approach, as witnessed by the immortal line, "I have an actual desire to meet an actual vampire."
which is the only line anybody remembers from any of the songs that are portrayed in this movie. Because
it's like so much of the movie, so completely out of left field, having nothing to do with the scene as it's being laid out. I mean, yes, they're dancing in the pits of hell. But why? But why? Why this? Why now? Why is that the one line in the song that seems to really focus in on rhyme, when many of the other lyrics do not in any way, shape, or form, Gina?
Yeah, it's it's like I don't know where to start, because it's like, it is so much is happening on the screen. This could be volume 1 as far as I'm concerned, because there's so much of this movie you can dig into. You're never going to find answers. I will say that you remember, I'm sure folks will remember our episode on The Visitor, and we mentioned that the demonic force in that is called Zatine.
Yeah.
Right. This too is we have another instance of screenwriters that are treating the concept of Satan as if it is copyright protected.
Right. They cannot violate the trademark of Devil, so they have to go outside the box.
So he is now Mr. Boogaloo.
Yes.
Who is he's sort of a Hitler type. Yes. But also he's a music producer. He's like sort of king of the world, like this in this 1994 universe. Like there are no presidents. He's in charge of the entire world, which makes it fascinating to me that it is very important to him that his music label wins this Eurovision music contest.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. He seems to control it, and as a result, like no one else can win. But why hold it in the first place if you're just exposing people to other music they might like? It doesn't make any sense.
Like the like he ends up rigging the contest so that his what would you call them, hench people? Like, I think he refers to them as his children at one point. Pandy and Dandy.
Pandy and Dandy are sort of a two-person.
They might be. I mean, they're it's a black woman and a white man. They kind of are described as brother and sister, but also kind of like they might be lovers. But they're also like these, figures of temptation for Alfie and BB. And anyway, so they're they're the singers that they're terrible.
Yeah. Truly.
But they win this Eurovision contest. But even though the audience actually prefers Alfie and BB, these like extremely, apple pie, Canadian couple who sings this very lip noodle. I think what's the song called? Love is the melody of the world.
Oh my God. It's so fucking true.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
But before we get to Alfie and BB, I just do this. We could just bounce back like a million different times, right? We could just talk about this scene. You can tell the year is 1994, Gina, because station wagons have bubbles on them and motorcycles have cubes. Because trombones have triangles.
Everything still looks like very much like 1979 Berlin. But like you've got I think the most fascinating thing for me is the costume design in this, because you've got like people are wearing they're wearing hazmat suits, but they're also dressed like Ziggy Stardust, but they're also wearing like fetish clothes, and it's just you have a
lot of dance belts.
Right. Just this amalgam of what they think, 15 years the future is going to look like.
I don't even know that they think. This is a feeling-based movie. I don't think there's a lot of intellectual exercise going on. He's just like, give me a keytar, but not a normal one where it's like half and half in plexiglass. And you're like, okay, that's interesting, but why? What does it have to do with it? Why do Pandy and Dandy not sing the actual hook of their song? They just sing to the lead up to it. And then there's just one guy who goes, do the bam. And every time it happens, I feel like I go a little bit more insane. There's just no way to wrap your mind. It's just you're thrown to the wolves in terms of this movie's beginning, and you are never on solid ground once.
It just really you're immersed in this world of what 1994 will look like. I mean, they don't even have a scroll or any scrolling text or anything.
No, you were just because the station wagons are different. It has to be the future. You're then told it's 1994. Why that specific year? It's just it's 10 more than 1984.
It's
is that worse?
It's at some point we stopped measuring things with applause and started measuring them with heartbeats, which is okay, that. I guess that is everybody wearing Fitbits now, I guess.
Shake is he Shake or Snake? It's said so many times in so many different ways. I can't tell whether or not it's Shake or Snake, but
I think it's Snake.
He riffles off this endless set of metrics that Do the Bim is accomplishing. And you're like, is that good? Is that bad? It's just numbers and designators and a bunch of people looking at monitors, but you can't see their faces. And has jewels on his teeth. And you can't, I don't know what to look at, and I don't know what to look away from.
That's the thing. I don't, because there's like just an incredible amount of stuff happening. One thing I want to point out, this song that this couple, Alfie and BB, sing.
Yeah.
I don't remember which episode of it might have been Overdraw the Memory Bank, where Pearl does the donation drive.
Yes.
And she's like, they sing the When Loving Lovers Love.
Yes.
It's pretty much that.
It is that. Yes.
Only, again, it is quite earnest.
Yes. And it seems to resonate with a certain amount of the crowd, whereas the other ones are just angry that Do the Bim has ended. None of Do the Bim rhymes.
Yeah, it's just them saying Bim is coming over and over again.
Hey, Bim's on the way.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. But it's a song. It's, again, like Monster Mash. It's a song about a different song. But we never get the Bim song. It's only doing the Bim that we get to hear about. And then we're just forced to look at all these instruments that for some reason have acute angles, and they should not. I don't want to play a sharp trombone. That trombone could kill somebody.
Yeah, that slider flies off your,
yes.
That's going right through someone's back of someone's head.
And yet, like, the same criticisms we are levying at this, and lovingly so, you could levy at Phantom of the Paradise, but Phantom of the Paradise just seems to be carried away on the gossamer wings of its beat. It just, the songs work. That's a big
they're similar in if you could say that the Apple has any sort of greater theme to it, they're similar in that it is about the dangers of being tempted by the the sins of success.
Yes.
And just the absurdity of marketing rock and roll music.
Certainly, I don't. What was the last? Have you ever watched the '76 version of A Star Is Born
with Barbra Streisand?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, so fucking great. I mean, when I say great, I don't mean like it's good. It might not be good, but it might be great. It's just full of the sort of dreamy excess stuff and like overlong performance sequences, and the economics of how it's happening don't quite work out. And it is also occasionally stumbling into intentional racism. But it reminds me a lot of that. It's just, there's a hazy filter on everything. And then we get to Alfie and BB, who, as you mentioned, play this just loving lovers love song. We're told they're a duo out of Moose Jaw, Canada, which everyone else finds hilarious. And this nothing burger of a folk song seems to hypnotize part of the crowd up until the point that Mr. Boogaloo, or as I love to call him, Mr. B Unnatural, bombards the crowd with some sort of sonic assault via red tape. It's just like weird noises that make people angry. And so they're booed off the stage, and then everyone gets into these weird ass cars. And this movie is tied with Time Cop in terms of the worst looking fake automobiles I've ever seen in my life. They definitely dressed up this one station wagon, and they can't stop getting in or out of it. It's just seen anytime you need a car, they're like, get that station wagon back at like that. All they could afford was like one fucked up station wagon. So it's both a limousine. It's also just someone else's regular car. But Alfie and BB at least make an impression enough that they're sort of invited back into Mr. Boogaloo's confidence in his after party. And this is where the earnest seduction of BB begins by Dandy. Dandy's played by a person you've never seen before and will never see again. And his hair is amazeballs.
Yeah, he basically just looks like Roger Daltrey and Tommy.
He looks like Roger Daltrey and Tommy. Another movie that obviously this film is drafting off this.
Oh yeah. That's is definitely taking a huge page from that.
But again, like Tommy will always be better and more cohesive because it was a fully realized rock album,
right?
And the songs are good.
Yeah, and the songs sort of explain what's going on.
It doesn't explain why a woman bathes in baked beans, though. Gina?
Well, no, it does not. But that's also a reference. It's also a reference to an earlier Who album. So you just basically have to be a Who fan to get some of the references. But but in this, it's like, the images don't explain anything. The lyrics explain even less.
Yeah. It's, oh my God. And so that sort of happens. There's also the sequence that I really enjoy. It's just an improbable number in the world's most brutalist lobby with two giant escalators and just looks like office suites that have too many sharp corners. It's called show business. It's how we learned that this is the far off future of 1994. And there's a lot of trombone, clown action, softshoe. This is where
I'm actually disappointed by how boring 1994 turned out to be.
In comparison, like we could have had this.
All we got was fucking grunge,
right? But what we needed was guys sashaying slowly across a carpet to this song, and it breaks my brain thinking about it. But this is where I learned that. Producer and eventual judge on So You Think You Can Dance, Nigel Lithgow, was involved in the choreography and dance in this movie. And so when Becky and I used to work for Fox, when So You Think You Could Dance came up and they would do like a big end of season spectacular, they would have a rehearsal that they would bring an audience in so that the people wouldn't be dancing to no one. So we go this one year, and Nigel Lithgow who I might add, has now been credibly accused of sexual harassment. So not a hero. But at the time, all I knew him from was producer on these shows. He's there, he goes, does anyone have any questions? And Becky goes, ask him how it was to dance in the apple. This is one of her dares. I dare you to. So I'm like feverishly throwing my hand up in the air because unlike her other dare, which was to ask Robin Williams, how was it to work with TV's Eric LaSalle? This was something I wanted to know the answer to because you can see touches of Nigel Lithgow's tap dancing softshoe in show business. You see him dancing in the background. So like he's invested in it. This is a fucking fever dream that he has a personal connection to. The Apple is to me the bedrock of it might not be good, but it might be great cinema. And yes. He would not choose my question. I never got to ask him, and now I never will. Oh, but I really wanted because I wanted to see his face. That someone knows what the Apple is, knows he was in it, knows that he was involved in the choreography. But I bet you zero other people in that audience had ever heard of a movie called The Apple, and now they would have.
And maybe they would have dragged you out back and beaten you for asking that question.
Yes. Again, you can tell it's the future when they're invited up to the office because people are putting their glasses on very uneven, melted ivory looking tables. And they're all big, awkward triangles filled with Hawaiian punch. Nothing makes sense.
I wish I knew more. And there's not a lot of information floating around out there about this, but I would love to discover more about the decision making that went into the production design for this, because I just want to know, like what made you think that this was what 1994 was going to look like? Like, where did you see, like, was this just random things, or were you kind of like, did you have your ear to the ground on what, like, fashion and furniture design, if you saw like a changing, pattern that would kind of indicate that, over the next decade or so, that's where we would be.
Yeah.
Like what makes that look futuristic to you?
I just think they had gone to Berlin to really take advantage of all the crazy brutalist architecture, and they just wanted to reflect that as their 1994 life is all these terrible angles, so that when they go into these other places that are soft hippies in the park or hell, they would be just visually so vastly different. I understand it in concept. In seeing it, your eyes just start to swim. You can't believe anything that you're watching because it's so out of left field. Like, this was originally budgeted at $4 million. It eventually ballooned to 10. They cut 2 numbers, including Heaven and Creation, which kind of explain the end of the movie, which, if you've listened up until this point and you haven't seen the film, first of all, fucking pause and watch this film immediately.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi.
Just go ahead and watch
You will
it.
never be happier for commercials in the middle of the movie in your life, so your brain can rest.
It's an hour and 25 minutes long. That's it.
You will enjoy every minute of it, with the exception of a couple of the love songs are just interminable. But just to put this in context for people, the Apple.
Yeah, just I will tell you, just fast forward through any scene that involves just Alfie, because he is an absolute void.
Oh no, Alfie does not deserve any good ending. Let's put it that way. He's a terrible person. He's got a bad attitude. He's a bad boyfriend. He's a bad tenant. He is a bad songwriter. He is a bad hippie. He's just bad. Famously, the Apple made its premiere at the 1980 Montreal World Film Festival, where attendees were gifted vinyl records of the film's soundtrack, which was great because when they reacted in a largely negative fashion to the film as it played, the attendees started to chuck those vinyl records at the movie screen and slice it to ribbons.
They fling them at the movie screen.
Yes, this legitimately happened. And Mayhem Golan was in attendance for this. And this is a slightly apocryphal story, but it has been told by many people many different ways. But essentially, Golan was so distraught after its reception at Montreal that he went to the top of his hotel and considered jumping off the balcony. He was talked out of this, but later was quoted saying, "It's impossible that I'm so wrong about it. I cannot be that wrong about the movie. They just don't understand what I was trying to do." And you're right. I don't understand what you're trying to do. I don't. I know it's Adam and Eve. And I know it's 1984. And I know it's 1994 because motorcycles, cubes. But what the fuck were you trying to do? And I don't think anything really sums this up more than what I would consider the apex of the film. And that is Alfie and Bibi are brought up to Mr. Boogaloo's office to sign music contracts. And of course, Alfie gets cold feet, immediately decides to make it Bibi's problem. But before this can happen, they are dragged into literal hell, Gina.
Yeah. And hell appears to look like Studio 54.
Right. Yes.
It's very dark. Yeah. It's very smoky. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of like shirtless men. I would say, not a lot of attractive shirtless men.
No, they really found some interesting, like obviously these people know how to dance. The dances they've been given to do leave something to be desired.
Yeah, these are not erotic dances.
No.
You've got some of them are wearing dog masks that sort of look like the dog mask in The Shining.
Yeah, background actors are straight out of Todd Browning's Freaks. One gentleman in particular seems to have two faces, neither of which are eyes that look down the camera pipe.
Like this does not appear to be like a, this just appears to be hell. Yes. Like and not like, a sort of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not like a decadent sort of like, temptations of the flesh sort of thing, which is like, which is what Dandy is sort of offering to BB.
Right. But why would you choose? Why would you you could have all this. You mean the guys in the background who are hanging from their necks? It's
like, this doesn't seem very fun.
This doesn't seem fun at all. The only person having fun in all of hell is the actual vampire. That's one person is having a great ass time.
And again, if you don't get what's happening here, Dandy offers BB a comically large apple
and sings about it and mentions the word apple at least 45 times and just adds modifiers to it. Crazy apple, tempting apple, this apple, that apple.
This apple from the Bible.
Yeah, I get it. And he's running around in a dance belt and he's in perfectly decent shape for 1980. But if you want to see like the differences in our societies and just over time, Dandy is in 1980 shape. And what's his face from High School Musical is playing just a dad in the Firestarter remake, and he's fucking jacked like he's Wolverine. It's insane.
I know. But in contrast to this, you have Pandy's temptation of Alfie, which is basically just like straddling him and singing a song called "I'm Coming."
The most subtle song. I think the word I'd use to describe it is subtle, Gina. It's just like even Donna Summer and Giorgio Moroder were like, seems a bit on the nose. Are you sure you want to go?
Rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, have the breakdown be an orgasm, not the entire song, the orgasm. And to reinforce this, you have these dancers in their individual beds, just flailing at one another while this is going. But does Alfie sleep with Pandy? Yes. Why? I think she drugged him, but also he fucking sucks.
Yeah, and of course, like, he's absolutely appalled that BB, inexplicably to be sure, gets involved with Dandy for a little while.
Yes. To the point where we get some sort of Suspiria vision introduction to the fact that she's sleeping with Dandy, but they couldn't be farther apart from one another in bed. His dick must be 3 feet long because he's not that close to her. Dogs fucking is more understandable. So it just like nothing in this seems to make sense. But so much of it is so compelling. Like there's a sequence in which Mr. Boogaloo sings about, and the title of the song is "How to Be a Master." Do multiple black people be forced to participate in this song? You better believe it. And It is. Every time I watch it, I just can't believe it fucking exists. And I can't imagine, like, hey, you got this role. You're going to be in a movie musical. Like, it's a big deal. Oh, we're going to rehearse tomorrow for How to Be a Master. Oh, but it's because he's the devil, right? Yeah, kind of. A little bit. Sure. If that's the way you need to think about it. All right. It's unbelievable. Like, whoa, 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 do it, do it, do it is shouted in various songs. It's just, you can't.
Where you you would think like, oh, aren't you going to describe the plot? No.
What plot? It's Adam and Eve. Eve gets tempted. She becomes a giant rock star, and on her American tour, she sings a long 5-minute song about trucker meth. That's the movie, everybody. That's it.
Because it's basically, because also this, I think this movie is also, it's also, trying to say something about, American excess.
Yes, sure. Absolutely. And I don't want to be lectured to about American excess by anyone other than one half of Golan Globus. Oh, you're absolutely right. I should take this in and reflect. This is obviously a me problem. That speed is one of the greatest musical achievements. Like, I do believe The Apple is the high point, but Speed does come close to it because there's dancing and motorcycles involved, and Catherine Mary Stewart. Is that her name? I can't remember.
Yes, Catherine Mary Stewart, who tried to gamely to lip sync and dance at the same time.
She's not a singer, but she is a dancer. Like, she can dance. It's never really a dance problem or a performance problem, but everything she's been asked to do is so fucking ludicrous. And I love her from many other movies. Like, I get why she's cast here. And her hair is in that very 70s parted in the middle and just grow it as long as possible phase. It just, no part of this makes any emotional sense. And it certainly doesn't make sense as a narrative. It's just a cacophony of the craziest shit you've ever seen, one after the other. And then occasionally it comes to like Pandy singing this weird love song about two other people being in love. And I guess it's a lament that she doesn't have that love. But it's just interminable. Oh my God. It just goes on and 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 on. And I don't mind it because the movie's going to cut a giant chunk out of its third act because it can't afford to do it. My favorite thing to do with this movie, Gina, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again because we're directly talking about The Apple, is to let people watch the worldwide song contest sequence of it and kind of extend a little bit beyond that. First 15 minutes or so. Pause the film and go, how do you think this is going to end? Just guess. The wildest guess you could possibly come up with. How do you think this movie is going to end? And I promise you, the dozens of times that I have shown this movie to people, no one has ever guessed the correct ending of The Apple, because how could one's mind breed such thoughts? You're just not going to see it coming. So if you want to have that experience, again, you should watch this movie. You should watch this movie. It is free to watch. The commercials will help you get through it.
You'll have a little time to ponder what you've just seen before the next bout begins.
Just wrap yourself up in a Wegovy commercial and just go, all right, maybe I should talk to my doctor about something that'll take away the memories of The Apple.
So I can watch it again.
And have that experience over and over. Like, this is truly the juice you're looking for when people talk about, oh, this is a crazy bad movie. This is what you want. This is what you want out of the experience.
Like there are bad musicals. You've got like Cats.
Yes.
Which is a very bad musical. And you know, a lot is happening on screen, but it's, you know, it sort of makes sense in its own weird little universe. Yeah, nobody really quite knows what a Jellicle Ball is or anything like that. But it makes sense within the context of the universe of the movie.
But if you want that sort of hypnotic, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? This is a film that delivers that.
Yes. Yeah. It does not make any attempt to explain a single thing.
No. It just exists. It's happening whether you want it to or not. And the longer you get into it, the more you'll want it to happen. So towards the end of the movie, Alfie is, you know, sleeps with Pandy, but she's like, BB, he only loves you. And you're like, how could you tell this while you were having orgasmic sex together? Whatever. He wanders into what is an approximation of Central Park, and he finds a version of Mr. Tops with a very bad fake nose. And he's like, what are you? He's like, a remnants of the 60s. They were known as the hippies. Yes, the movie just goes straight into hair territory. And so,
but also Mr. Tops is pretty much God.
Well, that is the end of it, right? Because the movie is like, BB escapes. A bunch of time happens because they have a baby. So they've conceived a baby. She's delivered a baby. They're walking around with a baby strapped to their chest. And then they are going to be arrested by Mr. Boogaloo and his cohorts. And then Alfie, for some reason, is like, don't worry, Mr. Tops is going to come. And she's like, what? And we're all like, what? Who the fuck are you talking about? And then a see-through gold Rolls Royce pulls into a parking space in the sky. It's a variable size. It changes size multiple times in the effect shot because no one knew where to put the camera. And he's like, hey, and he comes down and it's Jonas Auckland, who's also the guy who's the head of the hippies, but he's wearing a white suit. And he goes, guess what, everybody? Alfie, BB, come with me. Everyone else who wants to come, walk into the sky. Pandy joins them. And Mr. Boogoo's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to start a world? Another one? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it without you. He's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Who the fuck cares? And the movie just ends with a bunch of people walking into heaven. And then when they're done, the Apple logo comes up and you're just left to deal with the fallout.
You're just like, okay. Okay. I guess they all died.
But there's a whole bunch of like, what happened to his landlady? She seems nice, but she's not a part of this. But just these weirdo, dirty hippies who live under a bridge get to go to heaven. Why? What? Why? Who? Where? When?
He just like raptured everybody.
There go up, down, God, devil. I've seen this movie 30 times. It breaks my brain every time. Just nothing quite compares to how fucking ludicrous and committed to its own bit is, but no one's more confused about its bit than the Apple.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, you said that some salient, things had been removed in the third act.
Yes.
It just cracks me up that they, like this, Bim, hey, Bim is on the way. This goes on for about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just establishing shots of people walking into places, of like cube station wagons driving around.
Cops dancing.
This character announcing, we're at 112 heartbeats. Like that actually, like that's supposed to mean
right.
something.
Like, oh, good, bad, indifferent. I can't tell what the business model is.
Like you could cut like 3 minutes from each of these music numbers and, and add back in the parts that explain who Mr. Tops is.
Yeah. But they ran out of money. And I also feel like those music sequences are so delirious, so miscombobulated, just free ranging madness. And I can't stop watching it. Like, I didn't take notes because what would you write down?
You can't.
Why does this fucker have 2 faces? That's a thing I can write down, but I'm not going to know the answer to it. Why are they drinking out of triangles? No one ever explains it. There's not a decent surface to put your glass down in the entire film. That's not something I should be worrying about watching a movie. And yet, here we are. No one dies also.
No. Well, I mean, technically, a lot of them die because they all ascend to heaven.
But they're going to a different plane of existence. It's not really death. It's transmorgification. Fuck it. I don't know. Do you want to go up in the first pack of people to ascend to his gold Rolls Royce or the back half? That's not much of a choose your own death venture.
No, I guess it isn't. I guess it's if you want to if you want to go with Mr. Tops or hang around with Mr. Boogaloo.
Oh, fuck. There's no good choices. There's really no good choices because I believe they're both bad. This might have been the linchpin in my sort of detoxing from modern Christianity. If it can be broken down, like what makes this any different than any other religious dogma? It's just all fucking crazy. And yet people can find solace in it. And that is a good thing. Like I find solace in watching this ludicrous motion picture.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use the phrase, they don't make them like this anymore. They really don't make them like this anymore.
You're telling like, they can't make, they can't make
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles anymore. Like, they don't need to. They made it. But I'll tell you what they cannot. They cannot make the apple. No one's making the fucking apple. That is unique. This is what we lost as a society because they decided to elect Ronald Reagan. Well, are you happy now? Because we don't have the Apple II.
Nope, never got the Apple II.
It could
never got the Boogaloo libs.
Right. They would only resurrect Boogaloo in terms of breaking to electric Boogaloo. Which may be a spiritual successor to the Apple. I mean, it's golden and globus.
Sure, why not?
Released in the same year as Breakin'.
Anything is possible.
Anything is. You can get Jean-Claude Van Damme to dance in the background, which he does in Breakin'. Listen, it's episode 400. We couldn't do a regular episode.
I'll tell you something. It was either going to be this or the new War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
And we in the end, we decided not to reward Amazon with our eyeballs for making a mediocre commercial for Amazon. Yeah. And we decided this was going to be, much more fun to talk about.
And it is. It's a much more fun movie, no matter what we say about it. This movie is truly mind-bending. It is. It
is lovable in its incomprehensibility.
Yeah. But that just about does it. Don't worry, folks. 400 more episodes are soon to come your way. For myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.